Are you ready for the best in Sooner football recruiting news? Then it's time to get locked in with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Whether you're a recruiting doomer or sunshine pumper, text the guys on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And call your shot on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line at 405-329-9000.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Here we go now. Another day, another dollar here on Locked In. Brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno, family owned and operated, staffed with so many folks that are eager to assist you before and after the buying process. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, you should know GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. Hit us up on the First Liberty Bank text line if you feel so inclined. 405-651-3439 is the number to get a hold of us. Bank like a champion with First Liberty Bank. Text like a champion here on Locked In. Day one of spring football is behind us. Grayson Singleton got the chance to watch about an hour of practice out at the Everest Training Center yesterday. Practice was originally supposed to take place outdoors. They moved it indoors. I can only suspect that that is because it was 90-plus degrees yesterday.
I would imagine.
Which this has to be the earliest practice in recorded history that's been moved indoors because of heat. That's generally not the standard in March.
For one, no. But if you think about how the weather's been tracking, we had a warm winter. It's been unusually warm through the end of February on to where we are now. So no surprise there. What is the threshold in terms of heat to where they say, yeah, we're going to do this indoors?
I don't think there's any like hard and fast calculus. I think it's just kind of a
feel
game time decision by the powers that be. 20 years from now, it's going to be 90 degrees every March. 405-651-3439. That's the First Liberty Bank text line if you want to get a hold of us today. Impressions from day one of spring football, Grayson. And look, you're never going to learn all that much about a team on day one of the first week of spring practice. But there are some things that you can certainly glean from an opportunity like the one we got yesterday to watch about an hour of practice. I'm excited about Bo Bentley. And I always want to temper expectations for young quarterbacks because, man, young quarterbacks have kind of put us through the ringer here at Oklahoma in recent years, most notably Jackson Arnold. And so you don't want to pile too much on a young signal caller before he's ready and before he's mature enough to handle it. But what you can say and what I think deserves to be said about Bo Bentley after yesterday is, and I would include John Mateer in this conversation, Bo Bentley has the cleanest mechanics, quickest release of anybody in the OU quarterback room. Now, that means virtually nothing in terms of where he actually stacks up against the rest of the guys in that room. But it's refreshing to see that Ben Arbuckle's first quarterback recruit at the University of Oklahoma, well, I guess Jet New is kind of technically his first, but for all intents and purposes, the first guy that Ben Arbuckle said, I'm bringing this dude to Oklahoma to be my starting quarterback one day. The first guy he kind of officially put that stamp on, and Bo Bentley looks like a dude that belongs in that setting and will be able to excel in that setting.
Well, that's good. I would say that's good because that also gives us a lot more confidence in his evaluations down the line. Gives you more confidence in Jamison Roberts. Gives you more confidence whichever direction they want to go in the class of 2028. A year from now. So I think that's a really good start for Ben Arbuckle and what he's done at Oklahoma.
You want to talk about evaluations. You know who could evaluate talent? Jay Valai could. Jay Valai was an outstanding evaluator of talent. And that is borne out by the current composition of his room at Oklahoma. But one guy that really, really jumped out at me yesterday, just watching the way that he moved in drill work, incredibly good mover at the cornerback position. The true freshman out of the state of California, Derek Johnson Jr. That kid, I'm buying the stock on that kid after yesterday. And again, much like quarterbacks and arm talent, movement skills are not the only thing that factors into whether or not a cornerback sees the field.
But it's foundational.
It is foundational, and he is an elite mover.
Especially at his size, too, because isn't he, 6'2"?
He's not quite 6'2". He's in the 6'6" range.
Okay.
Definitely north of 6 feet. So he's a bigger cornerback, certainly. I mean, physically, in terms of his stature, he looks a lot like Cortland Guillory.
Right.
Wearing number 12. If you're taking notes in advance of the spring game, Derek Johnson wears number 12. But just so incredibly fluid and smooth with everything he does. I'm going to be real excited to see what Lamar Morgan can do once he gets his hands on that dude for an entire spring and an entire fall, because there's the possibility, I think, that he could see some snaps as a true freshman. Now, probably not a ton, because you have Cortland Guillory and Eli Bowen and Jacoby Johnson, etc. Dakota Fields, the Oregon transfer, Tristan Haynes, the redshirt freshman, Prince Ijama, the Mississippi Valley State transfer, experienced kid. He's going to have to supplant a bunch of those dudes if he's going to work his way into the rotation, but I think Derek Johnson is capable of that. I don't see why that's an impossibility.
But let's think about what he would have to supplant. Jacoby Johnson ended the year very nicely, but not really a whole lot of proven track work of success there with Jacoby Johnson. Prince Ijama, cool, but he's coming over from Mississippi Valley. Dakota Fields, same way. He's basically going up against, sure, it's a stacked deck numbers-wise, but in terms of production, who's to say somebody can't look at Derek Johnson and say, you know what, you provide a little bit more upside than a lot of these guys, because none of these other guys have really proven themselves at Oklahoma. So is it a little bit of a long shot? Sure, but the way the corner room sets up, Derek Johnson's got to like his odds to at least get some burn.
When they practice indoors, it is always really, really hard to watch the offensive line, and it's always really, really hard to watch the linebackers, because we're only permitted to be on the west sideline in the Everest Center, and they spend basically all of practice working on the east side of the field. So you're kind of craning your neck to see across the field and trying to get what you can from the offensive linemen and the linebackers. Didn't get to see a ton of either of those groups. Jacob Curry, man, and, there was all this talk over the last couple of months about how athletic he is, and he is. There's no question about that. He looks really small in comparison to the other linebackers. That jumped out, too.
Which, does that surprise you, though?
It doesn't, because he was listed at 6 feet 207.
Correct.
On the roster yesterday morning. So even before we went out there to watch practice, you kind of had the expectation that, okay, he's going to be more underdeveloped than the other guys that he's going to be lining up alongside. But still, man, it was a little bit jarring, and it does make me wonder if he is as athletic as he's been made out to be and as the testing numbers would indicate, and if he is on the type of track that demands early playing time, do you maybe explore Cheetah more immediately than inside linebacker with a kid like that?
Well, not even just Cheetah, which is kind of synonymous with some of the things that he had on tape in his junior year over at Nice, but maybe even safety too.
Maybe safety.
Because the more, and maybe not safety right off the bat, because you were able to bring in some other safeties, but like Nico and Markel Ford and whatnot, but in the future, he's screamed safety to me. So I would not be shocked at all if that's what he ended up playing.
Bobby from the 217 asked, PT, who is the ginger linebacker again? Us gingers have to stick together. That would be Jacob Curry. Yeah. That's the Ginger Ninja, Bobby. Jacob Curry. He is wearing number 17 for Oklahoma. So if you can't tell who he is by the red hair spilling out of his helmet, number 17 is who you're looking for come the spring game. Cup of Dirt, great text here, and this was another major takeaway from day one. Was watching some of the practice videos, and Hayden Hansen, sheesh, that guy looks unbelievable. You're 1,000% correct, Cup of Dirt. Seeing Hayden Hansen, and like seeing Jack Van Dorselaer and Rocky Beers kind of left you with this same impression, but especially watching Hayden Hansen kind of reminded you that it reminded you what a big-time tight end looks like. Because Oklahoma hasn't had one in a while. At least, certainly not one with a resume like Hayden Hanson's. 34 starts to his name in the Southeastern Conference, 6'7", 270 pounds. Yeah, that was one of the immediate knee-jerk reactions upon stepping onto the practice field yesterday at Oklahoma was, oh, yeah, that's what it looks like. Almost forgot, but that's what it looks like. That's what a big-time tight end looks like. I'm excited about Hayden Hanson, man.
Yeah, and you got to hope. I mean, if you just go off the raw numbers from his time at Florida, they don't really look all that eye-popping to you, but you got to hope that Oklahoma utilizes his talents and his size a lot better than the Gators have in the last few years, because that would be a terrible asset to underuse.
Hayden Hanson's going to be wearing number 89. Jack Van Dorselaar is number 88. Rocky Beers is going to be wearing number 81. Those are your three newcomers, at least via the transfer portal at tight end, that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. And then, of course, their position coach, Jason Witten. Man, it was fun watching him go to work with those dudes. He's very different in terms of his coaching style than Joe John Finley. And that doesn't automatically mean he's better, even though I think it's safe to assume he probably will be better, given that he played 17 years in the NFL and will be a Hall of Famer one day. But Jason Witten, and I said this after we first met with him at Local Media Day a couple weeks back. I'll say it again. That, to me, is a guy that screams head coach. He is destined to be a head coach one day. I don't know if that's at the collegiate level. I don't know if that's the NFL level. But Jason Witten's going to be a head coach. He ain't going to be the tight ends coach at Oklahoma forever. I don't know how long the Sooners will have him. They are very fortunate to have him right now because, man, watching that guy coach is a joy because he is very much into it. And I would liken him in terms of his style more so to Nate Dreiling than anybody else on the Oklahoma staff. Nate Dreiling and Jason Witten are both very involved coaches. Not every coach is involved, but Nate Dreiling and Jason Witten are both the types of guys that will get out there and they will simulate how they want a rep done. And watching Jason Witten run through these drills and simulate these drills before his tight ends go through, it's like, oh, man, that –
does he still look like he got it a little bit?
No, that dude could still throw on the pads. Yeah, he could still give you 50, 60 catches if there was an NFL team that wanted to sign him off the street tomorrow. Yeah, he's still spry at what, 43, 44?
Give or take.
He can still move around.
Okay.
And he loves it, man. You can tell he's in his element. There's nowhere he would rather be.
Speaking of his tight end room, how are the freshmen looking? Ruxer and Mix.
So Ryder Mix is rehabbing from a torn ACL.
Okay,
So
well.
he's not going to practice this spring.
Yeah.
When we talked to him at Local Media Day a couple of weeks back, he indicated that he's progressing really well in his return from the injury, and he will be cleared at this point to resume full activity in June. Or it might even have been May that he said, but no more than 7 or 8 months removed from the injury itself. So that's a pretty impressive trajectory for Mix. He's not practicing right now. He's obviously out there observing, taking mental reps, but he's not on the field. Tyler Ruxer, who's going to be wearing number 18, another exciting white in Jason Witten's room.
Mm-hmm.
Listed at 6'4", 230 on the initial roster. Best way I can say it is he looks like a new guy. You know, he's not out of place physically amongst that group, but he looks a lot greener.
He looks like it's his first college spring practice.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Exactly.
That's okay.
That's fine. He's not somebody that's going to be rushed along when you have Hanson and Beers and Van Dorselaar already in the room, as well as Trinae Washington, who is a big old boy indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I saw one of those videos that came out of there. I was like, okay.
Yeah, what do you think? Too much weight or?
Okay. He looks like one of those people, at least from the one video that I saw, and you've seen a lot more than I have. He looks like one of those people that move fast while moving slow. You know what I'm saying?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
He can get from point A to point B in a timely manner, but it doesn't look right, like entirely fast. So it's an interesting movement, but it's still a movement to where it makes me think down the line it could be somebody who could be a matchup mismatch, because that's ultimately what you want in a tight end. Too big for safeties, too fast for linebackers. And if he's too fast for safeties, then you've got a real thing on your hands.
Yeah. I think he looks great. I don't want him getting any bigger, though.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he needs to get any bigger.
I don't know if 280 Trinae Washington is a creature I want to see. 270, that's permissible. Another 10 pounds, yep, nope, back it up. Put it in reverse, Terry.
280, we're in somebody else range.
Yeah, we're in interior offensive lineman range.
Well,
get ready to learn guard, buddy.
Well, I was thinking more like Devon Mitchell.
Oh, you were thinking. Okay, yes. I think the day that he left Oklahoma, he was 278 or something like that. Crazy to think that was only a year ago.
That was a year ago.
A year ago, Devon Mitchell was still a member of the Oklahoma football program. That is obviously no longer the case. I need to do some digging in the break. I need to find out what Devon Mitchell is up to these days. I don't know if he committed anywhere out of the transfer portal. I don't know if he's in school anywhere this spring. I genuinely have no idea. I'll try to come up with an answer to that. Coming up on the other side, though, if there is one player on this Oklahoma roster that I am absolutely 1,000% convinced is going to have an enormous season in 2026, I think I'm ready to project who that will be. It's probably not going to be a terribly shocking answer, but let us know on the First Liberty Bank text line. If you could bet on one player to just have an All-American type individual campaign this fall, who are you betting on? I will give you my answer next as we continue to talk ball and talk recruiting here on Locked In. The latest on a couple of OU targets, one of whom is trending in the Sooners' favor, another who will be on campus today. All that and more on the other side. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
Luck is on your side this spring at your favorite casino.
So find your pot of gold at Riverwind.
Cheer on the thunder from your favorite seat in the house. And enjoy the best food, drinks, and service in the Metro.
Win some serious cash with your wild card
As our $250,000 Love Struck Club giveaway continues in March.
You know it's gotta be Riverwind.
Hey everybody, Mike Steely here, your favorite regional radio star, inviting you to join us every day, noon to 2 here on The Ref with Parker Thune and myself. We'll be talking all things Sooner football, of course. I'll talk about the attention-seeking clowns as well. There's also no better way to take us with you everywhere than by downloading the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat on your Apple or Android device. We're talking about a great app here, folks. It's so easy, even this old man can do it. That's the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat, proud sponsor of Sooner Athletics.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Pub W in Norman isn't your average pub. Think crispy fried deviled eggs, bold burgers, and local beers on tap. All in a chill space perfect for watching the game or grabbing dinner with friends.
Located off of 24th Avenue, Pub W brings comfort food elevated. Pub W, your neighborhood pub. Tune in every Friday to hear more about the Hal Smith Restaurant Group during the Rush and the Dari Noka Show here on The Ref.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
It's March and time for you to save serious green at Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Drive away in a powerful and luxurious 2026 GMC Yukon, stock number E4656, and take up to $5,000 off the MSRP. Big space, bold style, and the performance you expect from GMC. Drive the best just 15 minutes west. Dorsey Jones GMC I-40 and Highway 81, exit 125 in El Reno, or dorsey-jonesgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade. See dealer for details.
Two neighbors, same street, same hailstorm. Your neighbor got a new roof, but your claim was denied. How is that even possible?
Because not all insurance companies play fair. Some follow the rules, others follow secret internal strategies to deny your claim.
The insurance companies have internal storm plans, but they aren't plans to fully compensate you. Instead, it's just a secret strategy to reduce or deny your claim.
If your neighbor's roof got approved and yours didn't, it's time to fight back. Call McIntyre Law today at 405-777-7000.
On the first Liberty Bank text line, 405-651-3439. The question I asked you all going into the break is if you could bet on one Sooner to have a monster 2026 campaign, who are you betting on? I'll tell you who I'm betting on before we get to some of your responses. I am betting on Taylor Wein. And that's, again, not a terribly shocking answer. Or at least it shouldn't be to anybody. Because he was, second team All-SEC last year. Incredible breakout campaign for him as a redshirt sophomore. The type of guy, Grayson, that even after that one season of production, that one season of starting experience at Oklahoma, as a redshirt sophomore, he could have gone to the NFL. And there was a brief moment in time where it was a consideration. Never a terribly serious one, but if he had chosen to go to the NFL, he would have been a day 2 selection. That was the projection for Taylor Wein. Now, in returning to Oklahoma for his redshirt junior season, he's going to have the opportunity to play his way into the first-round conversation, and I believe that's entirely realistic. But one of the most jarring moments to me at practice yesterday in the hour that we got to witness came when we were watching the defensive linemen work. Because let me tell you, when they lined up to hit the sleds and run through drills with Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis, you know, some of those youngsters who ain't never done it before at that level, they don't really know what they're doing, and they don't hit or can't hit with a ton of force. The more experienced guys, you know, they know how to attack it, and they dish out some punishment. But, I mean, kind of like when you're watching a baseball game and you hear that home run sound off the bat, and you know immediately.
You know what that sled is going to sound like.
When Taylor Wein hits that sled, man, it is just a different sound from anybody else in the building. I mean, it is violent. And he puts a jolt in that thing that nobody else can put in that thing. You want to talk about heavy-handed. It is that dude. And so when you factor that into what he put on tape a season ago, then I think you have the makings of somebody that's going to be very widely regarded locally and nationally as one of the meal ticket items for Oklahoma this fall. But I think what stood out to me the most about Taylor Wein yesterday, and part of the reason it was so easy to walk out of that building thinking, yup, statement season coming up for that dude, is after practice wrapped up, and I should probably set the scene here first. Over the last 3 seasons, after basically every single practice that has had some sort of media availability, we've gotten to stick around for a number of post-practice interview sessions, and more often than not, there are guys staying late getting extra work on the field. And in years past, it has always been R. Mason Thomas getting extra work, Taylor Wein getting extra work, and maybe another guy here or there just depending on the practice. But the two guys that you could count on getting extra work after practice wrapped up on their own time were R. Mason Thomas and Taylor Wein. R. Mason Thomas is going to be a top 50 NFL draft selection. We understand that. But RMT is no longer at the University of Oklahoma. He had to pass the torch after graduating this offseason. And who would take that torch but Taylor Wein, who's been, again, the one constant alongside Thomas in those post-practice extra sessions, player-led extra sessions. And it used to be the case that we would show up to practice, and, again, it would either just be R. Mason and Taylor Wein, or it would be those two and maybe one or two additional guys. After yesterday's practice, first practice of spring, Taylor Wein, I kid you not, had every single scholarship defensive end at the illustrious University of Oklahoma staying late to do extra work with him for 15, 20 minutes after practice ended. And he's got, sheet of paper in hand, and he's essentially leading them through the drills, demonstrating, explaining, dictating what needs to be done and how. It was his birthday a couple days ago, and on his birthday, Miguel Chavis publicly shouted him out as the assistant edge coach. And that kind of illustrates why, Grayson. Kind of illustrates why that's a fitting title for Taylor Wein. And yet another reason why I think you can count on that dude taking his game to even another level from where it was in 2025.
I hear you. And sports is a get out what you put in type of endeavor. So if you're going to put in more and invest extra, then you should expect for a guy like a Taylor Wein to get more out of it in terms of production. My guy, it's a guy I've been on for a while, and a lot of us have, but David Stone.
Yeah.
I think David Stone's going to play himself into being a top half of the first round type of dude, because when you get a generational type of defensive tackle, that's generally where those dudes go. So, think of like Jeffrey Simmons when he came out and was drafted by the Titans, an Aaron Donald type guy. Not that he's going to be Aaron Donald when it's all said and done, but those generational type of defensive tackles, that's generally where they end up being drafted if they show that at the collegiate level. So I'm looking at David Stone, and I think now that he's going to be the bona fide starter, not coming in with that second wave behind Jaden Jackson and Dominic Williams, I think he's going to play himself into being at minimum a top 20 pick.
Jeremy from Memphis says Owen Heineke is his pick. And it remains to be seen whether Owen Heineke will be eligible for Oklahoma this fall. I think it's a pretty sure thing that he will get the injunction next month. The question then becomes, how devotedly is the NCAA going to fight the Heineke case? But he was at practice yesterday. Obviously, he can't participate, but he was there in street clothes, just spending time around the guys. I asked Kip Lewis about it after practice, and he basically said, man, Owen's just doing what he can while he can, making sure he's pouring into all the rest of us and helping make us better until he can get back on the field, or unless he can get back on the field at Oklahoma. Brady from Kansas says Stone has an even better season than last. For a freshman, I got to go with Jonathan Hatton. Yeah, he looks great. He looks great. As does DeZeffin Walker. DeZeffin Walker's got some burst, man.
Yeah.
He might have more burst than anybody in that running back room. That kid's got juice. And all those running backs are really, like, I was impressed looking at Lloyd Avant. I somewhat understandably, along with many others, probably figured, okay, Lloyd Avant, special teams guy, but probably an afterthought in the running back rotation. I like Lloyd Avant. I liked what I saw from Lloyd Avant yesterday. Deland McCullough's got himself a good group. A 405 listener says Xavier Robinson is who I would pick. And it remains to be seen who will lead the committee, if that's going to be a singular running back. But, Robinson and Torrey Blaylock are going to be at the front of the pack, no question. Blaylock did not participate in practice yesterday. I don't believe he was kind of like half dressed, like David Stone. He's not dealing with anything significant that I'm aware of. But the running backs that were full participants in practice yesterday, the scholarship running backs, I should say, were X, Hatton, Avant, DeZeph Walker, and Andy Bass. Don't forget about Andy Bass.
Oh, so he's healthy now.
He is healthy now.
There you go.
Yeah. He is healthy now, and if he can stay healthy, I don't know how much of a role there is for him in 2026, but on into 2027 as he just continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger on that injured knee or that surgically repaired knee. I think Andy Bass could do a little something at Oklahoma before it's all said and done. Pastor Andy from BA says, don't sleep on Peyton Bowen. Yeah, I don't think it's possible to sleep on Peyton Bowen. Former 5-star, full-time starter this season, this coming year for Oklahoma at safety. Senior year, this has to be the statement year for him.
Yeah.
He's going to be an NFL draft pick, no question. But how high he goes is going to be largely contingent upon how he performs this fall. Jim in Arlington says, will Jaden Jackson have a breakout year? He came out like gangbusters early on when he got to Oklahoma and even overshadowed his good friend David Stone. Yeah, Jaden Jackson didn't practice yesterday. He's recovering from an off-season procedure, but he's somebody that you know you can count on. It's never a concern. Jaden Jackson's level of play never has been, probably never will be a concern at Oklahoma because you know what he's about. You know he's going to take care of business. Brady from Kansas says, is Gabe Sawchuk on scholarship? No, he is not. He's a walk-on, as is Ben McCrary, Mikhail McCrary's older brother, who is a walk-on running back that just joined the fold at Oklahoma, transferred in this past offseason. A 580 listener says, Reggie Powers. I got Reggie Powers. Yeah, like we said in the 1 o'clock hour, man, I don't know what kind of productive year Reggie Powers is going to have. I don't necessarily know how many tackles are going to be there for him. That's tough to project when you're a defensive back. Sometimes there are a bunch. Sometimes there aren't many. It's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. But one thing you can darn well count on is Reggie Powers and Michael Boganowski are going to cut themselves together a little highlight reel.
Oh, yeah.
This fall.
And not to,
with some of the hits that they'll lay.
And not to mention, I wonder how much different that Cheetah position is going to look now that Kendall Daniels, who is a physically imposing specimen, is no longer there. And, like, does the Cheetah help out in the run game as effectively as Kendall Daniels, who has a linebacker background, as he did? So that'll be interesting to me, what the upside and the drop-offs are going from a guy like Kendall Daniels to Reggie Powers, who are two different players, albeit both very capable.
Frozen Sooner says, I'm betting on John Mater. Yeah, like Tuh Mater, but without the tuh. Sorry.
When did you learn to talk like that?
You've seen the movie Cars, right?
Yes, of course.
It's the Larry the Cable Guy voice.
Yeah, I know, but that was impressive. That
Thank
was
you.
a very impressive impersonation.
Thank you. John Mater with a better O-line and better running game. Yeah, Mateer's been a popular answer, and he seems determined. And what does that mean? What is that good for? I don't really know. Maybe nothing, maybe something. But talking to John Mateer at the end of practice yesterday definitely seems like a guy that understands the magnitude of the moment he's stepping into in 2026, both in terms of what it means for Oklahoma and how far they can go based on his play and what kind of draft stock he can build up for himself based on his level of play.
Especially because next year's draft class is projected to be a lot better than this year's one.
That it is. If John Mateer had declared for the draft this year, where would he fall?
I mean, he'd probably be, the third or fourth quarterback taken?
He's not any worse than QB5 on that board, I would say.
Yeah. Lucas on the YouTube chat says, Grayson, can you ask Parker about Wyatt Gilmore and Jake Krell?
Yeah, I mean, there may be snaps for those guys at defensive end this fall. Got to watch Krell practice yesterday. Miguel Chavis kind of lit into him because he got a taste of some of that tough coaching from Chavis yesterday.
What did he do to warrant this?
Newcomer making newcomer mistakes.
Got it.
Not really understanding the drill, and it was kind of an anticipation drill where, he either sends them running off in one direction or the other, and Krell got caught leaning one direction, and Chavis got all up in his face and in his ear saying, Stop guessing. React. Yeah, exactly. So Yeah, he got an earful. He got some tough coaching, as many of those newcomers do on their first day. Brian Harris experienced the same thing with Todd Bates, who is very different stylistically as a coach than Miguel Chavis. But, again, you're a true freshman coming in. You're going to have a lot to learn, and you're going to have to learn a lot, sometimes by way of a few choice words from your position coach.
Hey, man, that's all right.
Yeah. Gilmore, I'm impressed by the way he looked. I'm not sure how much action will be there for him this fall, between the presence of Taylor Wein and PJ and Danny Okoye, and obviously Krell is a true freshman who's really, really, really talented. But much as Taylor Wein took a big step forward in year 3 last season, the same could absolutely be in the cards for Wyatt Gilmore. And he did play well when he got on the field last year. It wasn't all that often, but when there was opportunity there for Wyatt Gilmore, he did play well.
Let me ask you about another freshman defensive end. How did Dane Bathurst look?
Freshman linebacker, you mean?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Dang it. Yes, he is a freshman linebacker.
Again,
how did he look making the switch from defensive end to linebacker?
I did not get to see much of the linebackers.
Okay.
So I could not answer that question reliably for you. The one linebacker I made a point to observe from afar was Cole Sullivan. And it was kind of shocking when I realized who that was wearing number 18 in white, because I knew it was somebody new. I didn't immediately recall, oh, yeah, Cole Sullivan's 18. Because he looks like a tight end, man. He is enormous. 6'4", like 235, something like that. He looks like a tight end. I did a double take. I was like, is Austin Stogner back? Because, of course, he used to wear number 18, too. And I was like, this deja vu. But, no, and I put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly. Oh, that's Cole Sullivan. And, yeah, excited about what he's going to add to that linebacker group, because he's a plug-and-play guy immediately, and somebody you're going to see a ton of regardless of what happens with the Heineke saga. Your 2 starters, if Heineke's back, are him and Kip Lewis. But if he's not back, it's certainly Kip Lewis and Cole Sullivan. And even if Heineke's back, there's still going to be a ton of snaps there for Cole Sullivan. He's going to be playing starter-level snaps even if he's not, in technicality, a starter. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. Hit us up there with any and all of your spring football questions. On the other side, want to talk about a couple of recruiting targets for Oklahoma in the 2027 class, one of whom the Sooners are in real strong shape with, and another of whom, well, Sooners are in strong shape there too, but the reason why that's so pertinent, his recruitment is so pertinent for a show like today's, is because he will be on campus today at the illustrious University of Oklahoma. So keep it right here on the Ref. We'll dig into that next here on Locked In.
Dustin Dvorak here. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. We are the football experts. We're the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app and listen from anywhere.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Matthew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information. Flu season is here, and getting sick was never in your game plan. When you're sidelined by illness, don't wait on a doctor's appointment and don't waste a trip to the ER. Get back in the lineup fast with same-day care from Norman Regional. With urgent care and walk-in clinics across Moore and Norman, they're always ready to make the right call. Already a Norman Regional patient? They've got your records on hand to draft up the winning play right when you need it. Find the clinic nearest to you at normanregional.com or dial 405-515-5000. Norman Regional Urgent Care and Walk-in Clinics, open when you need it.
The Ref is the home of Sooner Diamond Sports this spring. From Patty Squad in search of another natty.
Swings and hits it deep to center field. Are you kidding me? Sooner magic in Oklahoma City.
and skip Sooners sight set on Omaha.
Back to the track, to the wall. Gone! It's off the scoreboard!
The Ref has you covered.
Catch OU baseball against Texas Thursday and Friday at 7 and Saturday at 4, and softball against LSU Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. on the Ref and the KREF app.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Looking for a fun night out with the whole family? Join Meals on Wheels of Norman for our first ever family game night fundraiser, Saturday, April 11th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Norman Masonic Lodge number 38. Enjoy bingo, family feud, and great prizes, all while helping provide meals for seniors in our community. Get your tickets today at mealsonwheelsnorman.com. First responders receive a special discount. This ad is sponsored by Bear Property Management. Call 366-RENT for all of your management and leasing needs.
I'm State Farm Agent Julia Chu, and you already know our office is a place to turn for your insurance and financial needs. Now that place has changed to 701 Wall Street. While the location may have changed, the commitment of our team is as strong as ever. So whether you already know us or want the one-of-a-kind service offered by the Julia Chu Agency, call us at 329-3311 or come visit at our new location, 701 Wall Street, right on the corner of Boardwalk and Wall Street in Norman.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
You ever been to Pepperdine University out in Malibu, Grayson?
No, I haven't. I got into Pepperdine, though.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
You applied there?
I did. Why? I have no idea. But I did get in there, and they offered me a pretty decent amount of money.
Dang. And you went to Oklahoma State?
It was during COVID, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go that far away from home while the world is that unsettled.
Hey, you know what? That's fair. There's bad timing for a lot of us.
I mean, now look, if I could do it all over again now, shoot, I might have gone to Malibu. Sounds fun as hell.
Pepperdine jogged my memory because I showed up on my Twitter timeline that they just hired a new head basketball coach. And, like, what a dream gig that would be. Because if you've ever been out to Pepperdine's campus in Malibu, holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's one of the most beautiful areas you can imagine. I had a good friend in undergrad. She was a year younger than me. And got her undergrad degree in journalism. She graduated in 3 years, which is impressive. So she was a year younger than me, but we were basically on the same track. And she decided to go to law school after the fact, and she came down to staying at OU to do OU law or going out to Pepperdine because she got into law school out there. And I remember talking to her about it like February. It's a couple months before she has to make a decision. I'm like, really?
Why is this a conversation?
Why is this a conversation? Look, I love the state of Oklahoma. I love the University of Oklahoma. But if you got the opportunity to go spend 3 years of your life out at Pepperdine in Malibu, California.
Living on the beach?
Shoot, man. Yeah, do that all day long, which she did. She did wind up going out there. So it's a gorgeous, gorgeous part of the country.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, it's all just a bunch of liberals out there.
Yeah, whatever.
The Defeatist says, Pepperdine, Mike Leach's alma mater. I forgot about that. Good call. And yes, Denver from Indiana, pointing out probably the most notable NBA alum from Pepperdine, Doug Christie. Has there been anybody else?
No, I don't think so.
I think Doug Christie is kind of like the one. Did they go to a Final Four when Doug Christie was there? They haven't made the tournament, let alone won a game in the tournament in a long
time.
Yeah, but did they make a pretty deep tournament run while Doug Christie was there? I might be just completely misled here. I know they won the College World Series in baseball.
Yes, that did happen.
I want to say that was 1993, if I'm not mistaken. Right about the time that Oklahoma last won the national title. That, of course, was in 1994.
Doug Christie's a coach of the Sacramento Kings now.
I forgot about that entirely. Yeah, when I was growing up, he was playing guard for the Sacramento Kings.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Man, making me feel old.
A
918 listener says, watched OU play them in baseball. You can see the Pacific Ocean as you watch the game.
Mm-hmm. The realist says, Pepperdine, no wonder Grayson works for SMU. I do not work for SMU. I'm not employed by SMU.
He's a mouthpiece. SMU mouthpiece, Grayson Singleton.
Sure, we can term it like that. Sooner in Austin said, oh my gosh, you were in college during COVID? So young. Yes, 2020 was my freshman year of college.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
That makes me feel old, and I shouldn't. I don't really. I don't feel that old.
You know who else hired a men's basketball coach today?
LSU sure did.
Yeah.
And boy, seeing all the stuff that's coming out of the NC State side of that whole fiasco is absolutely wild. Because I didn't – and look, I don't pay nearly as close attention to college basketball as I do to college football. Mm-hmm. I try to stay informed. I didn't realize until today that Will Wade is very literally like the Lane Kiffin of college basketball.
That would be correct.
Because watching how that whole situation has unfolded and hearing all of what's being reported in the aftermath as to how Will Wade left NC State, like, yeah, you know what? He and LSU are kind of perfect for each other. I think it was Matt Norlander who tweeted out earlier, LSU is one of one. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, they are a one of one.
It's Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
There
what would
is
you
no
expect?
athletic department quite like LSU. They have spent $190 million
to put together
over the last 6 months
to put together the most dysfunctional coaching trifecta ever known to man.
They're paying all kinds of dead money to Brian Kelly. They're paying all kinds of dead money to Matt McMahon, who wasn't officially fired until they got the deal done with Will Wade.
Which was so wild.
And apparently Wade just departed from NC State in a really, really scummy, slimy type of way. Boo Corrigan, the NC State athletic director, said Wade didn't even resign personally. Didn't even have the conversation with the AD personally. Had his agent send an email notifying NC State that he was resigning to take the LSU job. So, have fun, Tigers. Better work. You're $190 million in the hole if not.
And I mean, shoot, that basketball product may be a little bit harder to resurrect, but I mean, you got one of the better coaches in the football, and the women's basketball program's doing pretty good.
Shoot, ain't no doubt. And, like, Will Wade can coach,
and
too.
Will Wade, I mean, I've said this before, that if they were going to fire Porter Moser after last year or this year, I would have campaigned and did campaign a year ago for Oklahoma to hire Will Wade because that man can coach.
Say what you will about the character of Lane Kiffin and Will Wade and Kim Mulkey, for that matter. There's a common denominator with all three. They are really freaking good ball coaches.
Yeah, they are. I don't even think Kim Mulkey has questionable character. I think she just wears funny stuff and
she acts a certain way. It's off-putting to people.
A little bit. But I don't think she has like a large character deficiency. I just think she's a little odd to some people.
Uh-huh. I mean, you can argue the same is true of Will Wade and Lane Kiffin. Kiffin, of course, I don't know what's true and what's not about Lane Kiffin, but he's got some stuff that's going to follow him for the rest of his coaching.
I find Lane Kiffin to be odd, but I find him to be hilarious, and I love him for that. That athletic director at LSU, he might need a raise.
Hey, speaking of Malibu, I guess staying in the state of California, how about a prediction in favor of Oklahoma from Rivals national recruiting analyst Greg Biggins, who does a great job covering the western edge of the United States, the West Coast region. And he put in that prediction for a guy that we have talked about quite a bit on this show over the last 3 weeks or so. 3-star defensive lineman Sione Falila out of Oak Hills High School in Hesperia, California. 6'2", 310 pounds. The guy that Oklahoma would like to be the next Jaden Jackson. And he acknowledged on the record to Biggins that he gave strong consideration to just committing to Oklahoma when he was at Future Freaks on March 7th. So that pretty much tells you all you need to know about the state of that recruitment. He's going to visit Kansas and BYU and Arizona State. There may be a couple others, but it's Oklahoma and everybody else right now in the recruitment of Sione Falila. So you can start to reasonably fantasize about a defensive tackle haul that features Falila alongside Devin Robertson and Elijah Harmon. That's a pretty dang solid class.
4-star Elijah Harmon, 3-star Devin Robertson, and Sione Falila, I believe, is a high 3-star as well.
Yeah, high 3, basically just like Robertson. I think he's like a 3-star 88 or 89,
exactly.
Something like that. But
not a bad haul, especially coming off of what you got last year, too.
That would be a win. And as I've said before, I don't think Oklahoma's done at defensive tackle if they get Falila committed. They will be open to taking a 4th, maybe even a 5th. There's a philosophy right now at Oklahoma with this 2027 cycle in particular that is very much going to put them in the running to take north of 30-plus signees, as we've discussed, because there's a recognizance of a couple of factors. One, it's always cheaper to get guys out of high school than it is to pay for them in the transfer portal. Always easier, always cheaper. And also, if you have coaches that can develop those players and you feel it's a pretty safe bet and you can pretty reliably count on each of those players becoming a solid SEC-level contributor at a place like Oklahoma, then why wouldn't you? You know, if you don't feel like you're throwing darts with your high school evaluations, and Jim Nagy and the Oklahoma front office have every reason to believe that they are not, if you don't feel like you're throwing darts and you feel like a guy, a given prospect is a pretty safe bet coming out of the high school ranks, yeah, it makes sense if you have the extra scholarship room to play with, and Oklahoma does, to just go ahead and make a spot in the class for that guy, as opposed to having to potentially pay a premium in the portal because you're not deep enough at that particular position. And that was the quandary that Oklahoma faced this last portal cycle with offensive tackle. They had to go get Amarian Harris, and they did. But part of the reason they only have 4 scholarship offensive tackles right now is because the tackle market was absolutely bonkers expensive.
Because of course it is.
Guys were going for 3 or 4 times what their realistic value would be in a vacuum, in isolation. But obviously the market dictates what guys are worth, and the market this past portal window cycle, whatever you want to call it, dictated that offensive tackles were worth a lot more.
So how do they feel about Amarian Harris?
I mean, if he's not your starting right tackle, I don't know who is, because it ain't 330-pound Ryan Foje. It might be 315-pound Ryan Foje, but it ain't 330-pound Ryan Foje.
Oh, goodness, no.
So it better be Amarian Harris.
You know what? Speaking of this, I saw you put out something about Deacon Schmidt on Twitter.
Yeah.
Either yesterday or the other day. What'd you think of him so far?
Yeah, again, didn't get a great look at the offensive lineman, but looks the part, man. Doesn't look out of place. He's 6'5", 315. Physically developed enough that he could play this year if he needed to, and he may need to. Last recruiting note I want to throw out. Oklahoma is going to be hosting a 3-star athlete for a practice visit today that we've talked about a bit on this show. He comes from Palo Duro High School in Amarillo, Texas. Kairen Brown, who got his offer from Emmett Jones. However, Brandon Hall has also begun to develop a relationship with Brown. So, is he going to play wide receiver? Would he play wide receiver, or would he play safety at Oklahoma? It's a little unclear for now. I would probably lean in the direction of safety, just based on the way that this whole thing has unfolded to this point. But Oklahoma likes Kairen Brown. They like him quite a bit. Would not be shocked to see an official visit set in the not-too-distant future. And if this visit goes the way I think it's going to go today, I think the Sooners will be very well positioned in that recruitment moving forward. So how about Oklahoma getting back into West Texas for the first time since Ivan Carione in the class of 24?
Okay, we can't say for the first time in 2 years.
3 years. 3 cycles.
Okay, 3 cycles. You made it sound like it's been like a decade and a half.
Okay, that's fair. It hasn't been all that long, but shoot, Ivan Carione was the first kid they'd signed out of West Texas in a long time. Maybe the better question would be, who was the last West Texas kid prior to Ivan Carione that wound up at Oklahoma?
Ooh, Trivia Tuesday.
I know. We'll have to do some research on that, come up with the answer for tomorrow's show. But until tomorrow's show, we're going to call it there, and we will turn it over to Tyler and Ted for 3 hours of The Rush coming up here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. We will do it all again tomorrow. Until then, y'all take it easy.